All right, I'm going to show you how to actually identify a tie rod that you remove off a vehicle and how to determine what quick tie you're actually going to need. And I'm going to go through just the figuring out how to make that quick tie the same as the OE or the quick tie or tie rod that you removed. All right, so here's a tie rod I took off a vehicle. I don't know the make or model, what it came off of. It doesn't really matter for us to identify which tie rod it is. And even then, we don't really need to know what the make or model is to actually replace it with a quick tie. So let's do a quick measurement because this is the first start. So I'm going to take a quick look at this here. You can see the tie rod end here. So this tie rod end, this is actually what we need to determine what tie rod it is. We need to know what this dimension is. So we've got these handy little cards. And I'll grab this real quick here. This is a quick reference card, and we actually put these together so you can quickly identify what tie rod you actually need. And this will allow you to determine if it's a green or a red tie rod. And like we had said, there are only 2 tie rods that cover 85 to 90% of the market out there. So how are we going to do that? Let's do it here. So we're going to take this, we're going to measure we call it the minor OD, which is the top of that stud taper. So if you look nice and close there, you'll see we're going to throw this on there. See how it drops to the bottom? That's not the right one. Put the green one on there, right at the top. So that's perfect. That hits the minor OD. So we know that this tie rod is going to be a green one, and this measurement is 0.967 inches. And just to double check, the stud should always be 7/8. And the tie rod end itself, you see that little green arch there? It should fit on there. And it's not a red one. You can see it doesn't fit. All right, so now that we've identified which one it is, the next step will be actually taking this old tie rod, and we're going to actually take a measuring tape, and we're going to measure how long it is, and we're going to take the quick tie, and we're going to make the dimension the same. So let's do a quick measurement here. We're going to go from Zerk fitting to Zerk fitting. If there is no Zerk fitting, you're going to go from center to center and measure it up. So we've got 66 inches as our dimension. So let's remember that. So we can take this. Let's not do anything with it. Let's not take the tie rod end off, nothing. Put it aside in case we need it to double check. So I've got myself a green quick tie here. So we'll throw that on the bench. So the green one, we've already identified on the card that this is going to be the green one. But if you wanted to quickly double check, make sure it's the same, throw it on there, we're good to go. All right, so the easiest way to do this is we're going to take that 66 inches that we know that the OE tie rod is. We're going to take the quick tie, we're going to measure this out to 57. So that's 57 inches from Zerk fitting to Zerk fitting, which means we're going to need to go 9 more inches to make it 66. We'll divide that 9.5. It's 4.5 inches on either side. We need to take it out because ideally you want to keep this tie rod end and that tie rod end equal when you take them out. So as I'm backing this out here, you'll see that this clamp is actually blue. So we identify the curb side and we identify the driver side by this clamp. This will always be on the curb side because we want to make sure that it's facing the right direction. So it's in the little instructions that are attached to the tie rod when you get it, but that's why this one's painted blue and the other one is painted black. So we're going to take it out. So it's a bit of work to get these out, but you'll notice one thing. See the threads on here? The threads are much finer than the tie rod that we're replacing. So it makes the adjustment a little more precise, but at the same time it makes the tie rod end stronger. Because what you probably can't tell is that we make our tie rod end for the green one 1 1/4 inches thick, not 1 1/8 like the OE. So it's much stronger. So let's get this out a little bit more. What are we at here? We're at 3 3/4. Go a little bit more. And we're at 4 1/4, and then that little 1/4 inch more. And we're 4 1/2. So we'll do it to the other side, the same thing. But one thing I want to note is that you see how far out this tie rod end is? This end looks like it's out a lot more than the OE one, and that's fine. That's the way it's designed to be out. You can see by this tie rod end that I've got removed, the tie rod end itself is actually significantly longer. So So this tie rod end is actually about 12 inches long. And that's the way that the QwikTie is designed that allows it to cover so many applications. The one thing you need to note though, is you can see right here, see that line that's machined into the threads? That's the stopping point. So basically you can take that whole tie rod end out up to that point, and once you hit that line, that's as far as you can extend it out. So for some people that might seem a little bit odd to have such a large piece of the tie rod hanging outside the tie rod end. All right, so we'll do the other side and we'll measure, and if we measure up 66 inches, we're good to put it up in the truck. So you leave it loose. That way, if you have to do any adjusting, you can do it after the fact. The Torx are available on the sheet that you'll get for these, for the clamp as well as for the castle nut. So you put that up on the truck, and then once you're done that, the QwikTie is installed or ready to be installed. As easy as that.